The neon signs of New Shanghai's lower districts painted the rain-slicked streets in shifting colors, their glow reflecting off Maya Chen's cybernetic arm as she made her way through the crowded evening market. The enhancement wasn't immediately obvious under her loose-fitting jacket, sleek black carbon fiber designed to mimic human musculature, but the slight whir of servos gave her away to those who knew what to listen for. 20 years after the convergence, when humanity first made contact with the galactic community, Earth's cities had transformed into melting pots of species and cultures. Maya's martial arts academy sat at the heart of it all, a testament to humanity's ability to adapt and evolve while holding onto its traditions. The rain intensified as she approached the academy's entrance, but something made her pause. A faint blue glow emanated from the narrow alley beside her building. In her experience, unusual lights in dark alleys rarely meant anything good. "Hello," she called out, her cybernetic hand instinctively flexing. "Someone there." The glow flickered like a dying star, and Maya heard a soft whimper. She moved closer, her enhanced vision cutting through the darkness. What she saw made her breath catch. Huddled against the wall was a being unlike any alien species she'd encountered before. Humanoid in form, but with translucent skin that pulsed with bioluminescent light. The creature, no, person, Maya corrected herself, appeared female, with delicate features that might have been beautiful if not contorted in pain. But what struck Maya most was the way the alien's limbs seemed to phase in and out of solid form, like waves of energy struggling to maintain cohesion. "It's okay," Maya said softly, crouching down. "I won't hurt you. I'm Maya Chen. This is my academy." The alien's eyes opened, revealing irises that swirled with galaxies. Please," she whispered in halting standard English. "They're looking for me." The collectors. Maya's cybernetic arm registered a temperature drop in the alley. The collectors. She'd heard rumors about them. A shadowy organization that trafficked in unique specimens. "Can you walk?" The alien tried to stand, but her semi-solid legs wobbled. "My stabilization field. It's failing." "The condition. It's getting worse." Maya made a quick decision. "Put your arm around my shoulder. My academy has a secure meditation room. We can figure this out there." As she helped the alien up, Maya noticed how light she felt, almost ethereal. The bioluminescent glow pulsed with each step, weakening gradually. They made it inside just as a sleek black vehicle cruised past the alley, its tinted windows concealing its occupants. The meditation room was sparse. Just cushions and a few holographic candles providing ambient light. Maya helped the alien settle onto a cushion, noting how her form seemed to solidify slightly in the calm environment. "I'm Lyra," the alien said finally, her voice steadier. I was a researcher at the Galactic Science Academy. Until the accident. The accident that caused this." Maya gestured to Lyra's fluctuating form. Lyra's light dimmed slightly. "We were studying phase shift technology. Something went wrong. The exposure, it changed my genetic structure. Now I can't maintain solid form without help. My own people see me as an abomination. The collectors see me as a specimen to be studied." Maya listened, her cybernetic sensors analyzing Lyra's energy patterns. The fluctuations weren't random. They followed a rhythm, like a martial arts kata. An idea began to form. "Your energy," Maya said slowly, "it moves like qi. What we call life force in martial arts. Have you ever considered that this condition might not be just a disability, but a different way of existing?" Lyra's glow brightened slightly. "The doctors all focused on fixing me. No one has ever suggested that you might not need fixing." Maya smiled, extending her cybernetic arm. "When I lost my arm in the Convergence Wars, everyone said I'd never practice martial arts again. Instead, I learned to integrate the cybernetics into my style, created something new." She demonstrated a simple form, her organic and cybernetic arms moving in perfect harmony. Lyra watched, transfixed, her own energy patterns subtly shifting to mirror Maya's movements. I could teach you, Maya offered, not to fix you, but to help you understand and control your energy, to find strength in what makes you different. Lyra's form stabilized slightly, hope flickering across her luminescent features. You would do that, even knowing what I am, what I've become. Maya's response was interrupted by a pounding on the academy's front door. Through the security feed, she could see the black vehicle had returned, disgorging figures in dark suits. The collectors, Lyra whispered, her form starting to destabilize again. Maya's cybernetic arm reconfigured, combat protocols engaging. They'll have to get through me first. I protect my students. She paused, looking at Lyra. That is, if you want to be my student. For a moment, Lyra's glow strengthened, her form becoming more defined. Yes, she said, and for the first time, Maya saw steel beneath the light. Teach me. The pounding grew louder, but Maya smiled. She'd seen that look before, in her own eyes, after the war, when everyone said she should give up. It was the look of someone ready to prove the world wrong. Then let's begin, Maya said, moving into a defensive stance as the door shuddered under another impact. Lesson 1. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from embracing what others see as weakness. Lyra rose, her energy patterns already beginning to flow more smoothly as she mimicked Maya's stance. Outside, the collectors were about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating those they considered broken. Dawn broke over New Shanghai's skyline as Maya led Lyra through the first movements of an ancient Tai Chi form. The Academy's training hall was empty save for them, morning light streaming through the holographic windows that could shift between Earth landscapes and alien vistas at will. Feel the energy flow, Maya instructed, her cybernetic arm moving in perfect synchronization with her organic one. Don't fight the phase shifts. Work with them. Lyra's bioluminescent form rippled as she followed Maya's movements. Where once her fluctuations had been chaotic, now they began to show purpose. As her arms traced through the air, they left trailing patterns of light that hung in the space like cosmic artwork. The shifts, Lyra said, wonder in her voice. They're becoming clearer, less frightening. Maya nodded, her cybernetic eye capturing data on the energy patterns. You're learning to work with your body's new nature instead of against it. Watch. The door chimed, interrupting their session. Maya's most senior student, Kaijang, entered with a group of regular morning practitioners, a mix of humans and aliens who'd been training at the academy for years. They stopped short at the sight of Lyra. Master Chen, Kai said, his cybernetic eyes focusing on Lyra's shifting form, we weren't aware you'd taken on a new student. Maya straightened, noting the tension in the room. Everyone, this is Lyra. She'll be joining our advanced morning sessions. A Centaurian student, four-armed and heavily muscled, stepped forward. With respect, Master, how can someone in her condition practice with us? She can barely maintain physical form. Lyra's glow dimmed slightly, but Maya caught the flash of determination in her galaxy-filled eyes. Would you care for a demonstration, Nexus? Maya asked the Centaurian. Before anyone could object, Lyra moved. Her form shifted and flowed like liquid starlight as she executed a complex sequence Maya had taught her. But she added something new. At key points, her body partially phased, allowing attacks to pass harmlessly through her before resolidifying to counter. The students watched in stunned silence. Even Kai's cybernetic eyes widened. As you can see, Maya said into the quiet, what some call disability, others call adaptation. Now, shall we begin? The morning session proved revealing. While some students remained wary, others were fascinated by Lyra's unique approach to the forms. Maya watched with pride as her new student pushed herself, each movement becoming more confident. But it wasn't until after class, when Maya was reviewing the session's data through her cybernetic interface, that she noticed something extraordinary. The energy readings from Lyra's practice showed patterns similar to quantum entanglement. Her phase shifts weren't random. They were responding to subtle changes in the electromagnetic field around her. Lyra. Maya called her over, projecting the data as a hologram. Look at this. Your condition. I don't think it's just affecting your physical form. You're actually manipulating energy fields on a quantum level. Lyra studied the holographic display, her own light pulsing with interest. The accident at the academy. We were researching quantum phase technology. Could it have somehow merged with my genetic structure? More than merged, Maya said, expanding the display. I think it's evolved. Your body has adapted to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The potential applications. A crash from the front of the academy cut her off. Through the security feed, Maya saw 3 figures in dark suits forcing their way in. The collectors had returned. The meditation room, Maya said quickly. Go. But Lyra stood her ground, her form glowing brighter. No, I'm tired of running. You've shown me these past days that what makes me different can make me strong. Let me prove it. The first collector burst into the training hall, raising a strange device. Subject L-937, by authority of the Galactic Science Council, you are ordered to surrender for containment and study. Maya moved into a fighting stance, her cybernetic arm reconfiguring for combat. This is a registered Earth martial arts academy. You have no authority here. Stand aside, human. This specimen represents a significant scientific anomaly. The potential benefits to society. I am not your specimen. Lyra's voice rang out, her form blazing with light. And I am not your experiment anymore. She moved like they'd practiced. But this time, Maya watched in amazement as Lyra consciously controlled her phase shifts. She flowed around the collector's attempts to capture her partially phased form making their weapons useless. When one tried to rush her, she shifted just enough for him to pass through her, then resolidified to throw him with a technique Maya had taught her. Maya engaged the other 2, her cybernetic enhancements, giving her the speed to match their advanced tech. But it was Lyra who turned the tide. As a collector raised his containment device, Lyra reached out and actually manipulated its energy field, causing it to short-circuit in a shower of sparks. The remaining collector backed away. This is impossible. The phase condition should be debilitating. Your mistake, Maya said, standing beside Lyra, was assuming different meant weaker. Lyra's form stabilized, her light steady and strong. I suggest you leave, and tell the council that I am not their property. I am a person, and I have found my place. After the collectors retreated, Maya turned to her student with pride. That was incredible. You're learning to control the energy fields around you. I had a good teacher. Lyra smiled, her glow warm. You showed me that strength comes in many forms. Maya's cybernetic sensors picked up residual energy readings from the fight. The patterns were complex, suggesting capabilities they'd barely begun to explore. We've only scratched the surface of what you can do. Are you ready to learn more? Lyra's response was to shift into a perfect beginning stance, her light painting arrays of quantum possibilities in the air around her. Teach me everything. As they resumed training, Maya couldn't help but smile. In teaching Lyra to embrace her unique nature, she'd helped forge something entirely new. A bridge between solid form and energy, between human martial arts and quantum physics. The possibilities were endless. But as her security systems tracked the collector's retreat, Maya knew this was just the beginning. They would return, likely with better equipment and more authority. And there were still questions about the accident that had transformed Lyra. For now, though, she focused on her students' growing confidence, watching as Lyra painted the air with light. Each movement a declaration that different didn't mean broken. Sometimes it meant revolutionary. The holograms in Maya's office painted cascading streams of data across the walls as she reviewed security footage from the past week. Each frame showed Lyra's progress, her movements growing more precise, her control over quantum fields strengthening. But they also showed something troubling. Unmarked vehicles appearing with increasing frequency in the surrounding streets, dark-suited figures watching the academy. Maya's cybernetic eye registered movement at the door. "Enter," she called, recognizing Lyra's unique energy signature. Her student flowed into the room, her bioluminescence dimmed to a subtle glow. 3 weeks of training had transformed Lyra's once erratic phase shifts into something approaching art. She no longer fought to maintain solid form, but instead existed in a controlled state of quantum flux. "You've noticed them too," Lyra said, gesturing to the surveillance feeds. "They're not just collectors anymore." Maya nodded, expanding a holographic image. Earth Defense Force, private security firms, even some faces I recognize from the corporate sector. Her cybernetic arm whirred as she manipulated the display. "They're all interested in you, but I don't think they're working together." "It's getting worse." Lyra's form flickered with anxiety. "Last night, I found this in my quarters." She held out a small device, its surface crawling with nanoscale circuitry. Maya scanned it with her cybernetic eye. Advanced surveillance tech. Military grade. She crushed it between mechanical fingers. "Someone got past our security." "That's not all." Lyra's voice dropped. "I've been remembering things about the accident at the Galactic Science Academy. Details that don't add up." Before she could continue, Maya's security system pinged. A group of students had gathered in the main training hall, led by Kai. The tension in their postures was evident even through the surveillance feed. "We should handle this first," Maya said, rising. "Ready?" Lyra straightened, her light steadying. "Always." They entered the training hall to find nearly 30 students waiting. Kai stepped forward, his cybernetic eyes glowing with intensity. "Master Chen, we need to talk about the danger you're bringing to this academy." "Careful, Kai," Maya warned, but he pressed on. 3 different government agencies have questioned me this week. Corporate headhunters are offering credits for information about your new student. And now this." He projected a news headline. "Rogue UE experiment, 3 teens PUBLC CFET. Citizens urged to REP or UDANTUM8NOMMALIs." Murmurs spread through the gathered students. Maya noticed some looking at Lyra with fear, others with concern, a few with barely concealed hostility. "I am not a threat," Lyra said, her voice steady despite the way her light pulsed with emotion. "Everything I've done here has been to learn control." "To what?" A new voice cut through the tension. Maya turned to see a figure in a crisp military uniform standing in the doorway. "To become a weapon. To perfect the prototype." "Admiral Zhang," Maya said, her combat protocols activating automatically. "I wasn't aware Earth Defense Force took interest in civilian martial arts academies." The Admiral, a tall woman with more chrome than flesh showing, smiled without warmth. "When they harbor illegal quantum human hybrids, we take notice." She turned to Lyra. "Did you really think the accident that created you was random? The Galactic Science Academy has been trying to create stable quantum organic interfaces for decades. You, my dear, are their first success." Lyra's form fluctuated violently. "No, the explosion. It was an accident." "A controlled accident," the Admiral corrected. "Your genetic structure was specifically chosen, modified over generations to accept quantum integration. Your family history, your placement at the Academy, all carefully orchestrated. You were meant to be the first of a new kind of soldier." Maya stepped between them, her cybernetic arm reconfiguring into combat mode. "She's not your soldier. She's my student." "Your student." Admiral Zhang laughed. "Do you have any idea what she's capable of? The quantum fields she manipulates could tear apart the fabric of space-time. She's a walking weapon of mass destruction." "No." Lyra's voice rang out, strong and clear. Her form stabilized, but now her light contained hints of patterns Maya had never seen before, complex geometries that seemed to bend the space around her. "I am not your weapon. What was done to me, what was done to my family, that was wrong. But what I become now is my choice." She moved into a fighting stance Maya had taught her. But as she did, the quantum fields around her shifted. Reality itself seemed to ripple. Incredible, the Admiral breathed. Full conscious control of quantum manipulation. You're exceeding all projections. Last warning, Maya said, her own combat systems humming to life. Leave my academy. Now. The Admiral's smile turned predatory. I think not. In fact, she raised her hand, and suddenly Maya's cybernetic systems began to malfunction, her arm freezing in place. We've learned a few tricks about quantum manipulation ourselves, but she had underestimated Lyra's progress. As Maya struggled with her failing cybernetics, her student moved like liquid light. The quantum fields around her pulsed, and suddenly the Admiral's control device shorted out in a cascade of sparks. You taught me that true strength comes from within, Lyra said to Maya as she helped her teacher reset her cybernetic systems. Not from what was done to us, but from what we choose to do with it. The Admiral backed away, tapping her communicator. Full containment protocol. Now, the Academy's walls suddenly hummed with energy. Some kind of quantum dampening field. But Lyra didn't fight it. Instead, she worked with it, just as Maya had taught her to work with her phase shifts. The field twisted, warped, and then shattered. Impossible, the Admiral whispered. The containment field should have trapped someone fighting against it. Maya finished, her systems back online. But you don't understand what we do here. We don't fight against what we are. We learn to embrace it, control it, make it our strength. The Admiral's backup never arrived. Later, they would find all their quantum-based weapons and systems had mysteriously malfunctioned. But in that moment, as the Admiral retreated, Maya focused on her students, still watching in shock. I understand if any of you wish to leave, she said. What happens next will not be easy. To her surprise, Kai stepped forward first. You taught us that the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, Master. We're not going anywhere. One by one, the other students nodded. Even those who had been skeptical of Lyra seemed to have understood something fundamental had changed. Later, as they secured the academy for the night, Lyra turned to Maya. They'll be back. And now we know this goes deeper than just the collectors. Maya nodded, her cybernetic eye already formulating new security protocols. Then we'll be ready. But first, you said you've been remembering things about the accident. Tell me everything. As Lyra began to speak, her light casting complex quantum patterns on the walls, Maya realized they were about to uncover something far bigger than either of them had imagined. The question was, were they ready for what that truth would mean? Maya found Lyra in the Academy's meditation room well past midnight, her bioluminescent form casting shifting patterns across the walls. The quantum geometries in her light had grown more complex since the confrontation with Admiral Zhang, taking on structures that Maya's cybernetic eye could barely process. You should be resting, Maya said softly, but her sensors were already recording the unusual energy readings emanating from her student. I remembered something else, Lyra replied without turning. About my family. About why they were chosen. Her form flickered, the light dimming. We weren't the first attempts at quantum integration. We were just the first to survive it. Maya moved closer, noting how the quantum fields around Lyra seemed to pulse with her emotions. How many? Generations. My great-grandparents were part of the first wave of genetic modifications. Each generation carefully bred, our DNA slowly altered to accept quantum states. Lyra's voice cracked. Those who showed promise were guided into scientific fields. Those who didn't disappeared. Maya's cybernetic arm registered a temperature drop as Lyra's control wavered. Small objects around the room began to float as quantum fields distorted local gravity. My sister, Lyra continued, her light pulsing with grief. She was brilliant, more talented than I ever was. But when they tested her for quantum compatibility, something went wrong. They said it was a tragic accident. Now I know better. The floating objects crashed down as Lyra's form suddenly flared with brilliant light. Maya's systems blared warnings. The quantum energy readings were off the scale. "Lyra," Maya said firmly, "you need to control it. Remember your training." But what if they're right? Lyra's form began to shift erratically, phases bleeding into each other. What if I am a weapon? Everything I am was engineered. Every talent, every ability. It was all designed for destruction. The quantum distortions intensified. Maya's cybernetic systems began to glitch, reality itself seeming to warp around them. But instead of backing away, she stepped forward. "Look at me," Maya commanded, her organic hand reaching out to touch the light that was Lyra. "What was done to you was wrong. But what you become, that's your choice. Everything we've built here, every technique you've mastered, that came from you. I can feel it growing," Lyra whispered, her voice distorting across quantum frequencies. "The power they bred into me, it wants to break free." Maya's cybernetic eye captured the moment Lyra's quantum field began to cascade. Emergency protocols screamed at her to run, but she held her ground. "Then let it free," Maya said. "But on your terms. You've never needed to suppress your power. You needed to understand it. Work with it like we've trained." Lyra's form stabilized slightly. "I don't want to hurt anyone." "Then don't. You control the power, not the other way around." The quantum distortions pulsed once more, then slowly began to smooth out as Lyra applied the techniques Maya had taught her. Her light settled into a steady glow, the complex patterns returning to their usual grace. But before either of them could relax, Maya's security system pinged. Multiple vehicles were approaching the Academy, their signatures matching both Earth Defense Force and Galactic Science Council protocols. "They're coming," Lyra said, her light dimming. They must have detected the quantum surge. Maya's cybernetic systems finished rebooting, combat protocols engaging. Let them come. The Academy's defenses. She was cut off by a massive explosion that rocked the building. Through the security feeds, she watched in horror as figures in advanced battle suits breached the Academy's outer walls. Neural dampeners and quantum suppressors, she noted, her tactical systems analyzing their gear. "They're done playing nice." Lyra moved to a fighting stance, her form glowing with controlled power. "Maya, if they take me, they'll never stop. The experiments, the weapons program, they'll just start over with someone else." "Not going to happen." Maya's cybernetic arm reconfigured, weapon systems charging. "I protect my students." "No." Lyra's voice was firm. "You taught me to face what I am, to find strength in my differences. Now I need to use that strength to end this, to make sure they can never do this to anyone else." Maya recognized the resolve in her student's voice. "What are you planning?" The quantum integration wasn't just genetic manipulation, Lyra explained, her form beginning to pulse with complex energies. They were trying to create a bridge between normal space and quantum reality, a weapon that could shift between states, infiltrate any facility, destroy it from within. "But you learn to control it," Maya said, understanding dawning. "To exist in both states at once." Lyra nodded. "All their research, all their data, it's stored in a quantum computer network, unhackable by normal means. But for someone who can exist in quantum states." Another explosion rocked the building. Through the security feeds, Maya watched as more troops approached. Among them was Admiral Zhang, carrying what looked like a massive quantum containment device. "You're talking about infiltrating their entire network," Maya realized. "Exposing everything they've done. Not just exposing it." Lyra's form began to shift, taking on patterns Maya had never seen before. "I can use the quantum connection to erase it. All of it. The research, the genetic profiles, the modification protocols. Everything they need to create more people like me." The backlash from that kind of quantum deletion. Maya's cybernetic eye ran the calculations. It could kill you. Lyra smiled, her light warm despite the chaos around them. You taught me that true strength means standing up for what's right, no matter the cost. She reached out, her partially quantum hand touching Maya's face. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did, for teaching me that different doesn't mean broken. Before Maya could respond, the Academy's inner doors burst open. Admiral Zhang entered, flanked by troops in quantum-shielded armor. Step away from the asset, she commanded Maya. This is your final warning. But Lyra was already changing, her form shifting between states faster than even Maya's enhanced vision could track. The quantum patterns in her light grew impossibly complex, reality itself seeming to bend around her. I am not your asset, Lyra declared, her voice resonating across multiple quantum frequencies. I am not your weapon. And you will never do this to anyone else. Her light flared brilliantly, and for a moment, Maya saw Lyra existing in all states at once, solid and energy, particle and wave, present and quantum. Then she simply vanished. The Admiral's containment device squealed in alarm. No, the quantum network, she's in the system. Maya smiled, even as her cybernetic systems registered massive quantum disturbances spreading across the city. You never understood what you created, she told the Admiral. You wanted a weapon. I taught her to be a warrior. The lights began to flicker as quantum surges cascaded through every connected system. Maya's tactical display showed similar effects spreading globally, following the quantum network that connected the project's facilities. Stop her, the Admiral screamed. She'll destroy everything we've worked for. No, Maya corrected, watching as decades of twisted research began to vanish from existence. She's making sure you can never hurt anyone else. The quantum surge reached its peak, and for a moment, Maya's cybernetic eye captured a glimpse of Lyra's true form, a being of pure quantum energy, existing in all states and none, using the very power they had bred into her to dismantle their plans forever. Then reality snapped back into focus. The Admiral's quantum devices went dead. The troops' enhanced armor powered down. And in the center of the room, Lyra's form slowly reformed, different than before, more stable, yet somehow more ethereal. It's done, she said simply, her light pulsing with exhausted triumph. All of it. They'll never be able to recreate the research. As the Admiral and her forces retreated in disarray, Maya stepped forward to support her student. You could have died. Lyra's light flickered with amusement. You taught me to have faith in my strength. She looked down at her quantum-infused form. Besides, I don't think I can die. Not in the traditional sense. I've become something new. Maya's cybernetic sensors confirmed it. Lyra now existed in a permanent state of quantum flux, but it was controlled, purposeful. She had truly mastered her unique nature. So, Maya said, ready for your next lesson. Lyra's answer was to shift into a perfect fighting stance, her light painting new possibilities across reality itself. 3 months after Lyra's transformation, Maya's academy had changed. The training hall now incorporated quantum field generators, allowing students to practice in varying gravitational conditions. Where once there had been whispered concerns about Lyra's differences, now there was fascination. Everyone wanted to learn from the woman who had turned her engineered disability into a revolution. Maya stood at the edge of the training floor, her cybernetic eye recording as Lyra demonstrated a new technique to an advanced class. Her student's form shifted seamlessly between states, each movement precise and purposeful. The quantum patterns in her light had stabilized into something beautiful, complex geometries that seemed to dance between dimensions. Remember, Lyra instructed, her voice carrying clearly despite its quantum harmonics. Strength isn't about dominating your nature. It's about understanding it, working with it, letting it guide you to new possibilities. The students, human and alien alike, watched in awe as she demonstrated. Even Kai, who had once been skeptical, now studied her movements with intense focus, his cybernetic eyes recording every detail. Maya smiled, remembering the frightened being she'd found in that alley months ago. The change wasn't just physical. Lyra carried herself with confidence now, her light steady and strong. She had transformed her quantum nature from a curse into a gift, and in doing so, had transformed the academy as well. After class, as the students filed out, Lyra approached Maya. Her light pulsed with excitement. The quantum integration techniques we developed, they're working. 3 more academies have adopted them for students with non-standard physiologies. Maya nodded, her cybernetic sensors detecting the subtle quantum fields that now permeated the academy. You've created something entirely new, a way for others like you to find their strength. We created it, Lyra corrected. I would never have understood my power without your guidance. She paused, her form shifting slightly. There's something else. The Galactic Science Council sent another message. Maya's combat protocols activated automatically, but Lyra's light rippled with amusement. Not like that. They want to formally recognize our academy as the first certified quantum integrated training facility. All those generations of trying to create the perfect weapon. And instead, they got a school that teaches people to embrace their differences. Ironic, Maya said, her cybernetic arm relaxing from combat mode. Have you told them your conditions? Full transparency about past genetic experiments, reparations to affected families, and complete autonomy for our curriculum. Lyra's light brightened. They agreed to everything. I think destroying their quantum network proved we weren't to be trifled with. Maya reached out, her organic and cybernetic hands moving through the quantum field that was Lyra's current form. The sensation was like touching starlight. You changed everything. Not just for yourself, but for anyone who's ever been told they were broken. You showed me the way, Lyra said softly. That day in the alley, you saw past what I appeared to be, saw what I could become. Their moment was interrupted by Maya's security system pinging, but unlike the warnings of months past, this alert was different. A small group of beings waited at the academy's entrance, individuals with quantum signatures similar to Lyra's. More survivors, Lyra breathed. From the other experiments, they're finally coming forward. Maya's cybernetic eye scanned the group. They're looking for answers, for understanding. They're looking for hope, Lyra corrected. The same thing I found here. She turned to Maya, her light pulsing with determination. Will you help me teach them? Maya smiled, remembering all the moments that had led them here. The frightened creature in the alley, the student who learned to control her power, the warrior who faced down armies, and now, the teacher ready to help others find their way. Together, she agreed. They walked to meet the newcomers, Maya's cybernetic systems adapting to the quantum frequencies around them, Lyra's light painting possibilities across reality itself. The Academy's doors opened to reveal beings of various species, each bearing signs of quantum integration. Some flickered between states, others seemed partly ethereal. All looked uncertain but hopeful. Welcome, Lyra said, her form stabilizing into its most approachable configuration. You're safe here. You're among friends who understand. We've heard stories, one of them said, their form wavering with anxiety. About what you did, about what you became. What I became, Lyra corrected gently, was who I truly am. And I can help you do the same. As she led them inside, Maya watched with pride. The Academy had evolved far beyond its original purpose. It was no longer just a place to learn martial arts. It had become a sanctuary for those society deemed broken, a place where difference was celebrated and true strength was found in accepting one's unique nature. Later, as the artificial sun set over New Shanghai, Maya found Lyra in their usual spot in the garden. Her student, now her partner in running the academy, was teaching one of the newcomers a basic quantum stabilization technique. Remember, Lyra was saying, the fluctuations are part of you. Don't fight them. Feel how they'd flow, like water finding its path. The newcomer's erratic quantum field slowly smoothed out, their light finding a steady rhythm. The joy on their face reminded Maya of Lyra's first successful practice sessions. You've become quite the teacher, Maya observed after the lesson ended. Lyra's light rippled with pleasure. I had an excellent example. She moved closer, her quantum field harmonizing with Maya's cybernetic frequencies in a way that had become familiar and precious. Did you ever imagine that day in the alley that we'd end up here? Maya thought about all they'd accomplished, the lives they'd changed, the barriers they'd broken. I knew you had strength in you, she said, but you've exceeded every expectation. You took what was done to you and transformed it into something beautiful. We're not finished, Lyra said, her light patterns shifting to show new possibilities. There are more out there like me, more who need to learn that different doesn't mean broken. Then we'll find them, Maya promised, and we'll teach them what you taught me, that true power comes not from changing who you are, but from embracing it completely. Above them, the stars began to emerge, their light mixing with Lyra's quantum glow. The academy hummed with energy, both physical and quantum, as new students discovered their paths. And in the garden, teacher and student, now equals, planned their next lessons. For they had learned the greatest truth of all, that strength comes in many forms, that what others see as weakness can become your greatest power, and that sometimes the most profound transformations come not from changing who you are, but from finally, fully becoming yourself.